What's going on, everybody? Smiley's Garden. It's fucking talking shit with Smiley tonight, and kind of give everybody a minute here to get in. But tonight we get to chat with Mr. Keeno from the GR420 forums. So I don't know if you want to say hi a minute, Keeno, and
Yeah, hello everyone.
chat fired up here a minute.
Nice one for having us on, Smiley and Eagle. It's my first one off of our one, I think. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Thank you very much for having us on. Here we go. I've got the video up. Just get chat up.
Sorry, man. I was getting chat set up, so I didn't want to double play back. But so yeah, dude. I don't know if everybody in chat knows about the forum. I think GMO was on, and you guys kind of do that together, correct? Is that
Yeah, both on the team there. It's just growing 420. It's just like an old school forum. I mean, they are old school now, but it's just a community of growers basically. So it's just like a passion. I started it about 3 years ago, and it's just rolled from there, man. It takes over most days of my life, but it's growing. It's what we same with these podcasts, man. I just want to talk about growing all day. You know what I mean? And we get to do that on the forum, and now we get to do it with the community on YouTube as well. So it's all good, man.
oh yeah, man. It is. It's a lot of fun. So
Mm.
yeah, dude. I don't want to make this about the forum, but just to kind of know a little bit more about you, man. Like, what what was your kind of first time getting introduced to Mary Jane and
First time, man. It was got to be about 13, 14 years old, but. I remember my dad was so against it, but my stepdad was a proper stoner. So you can imagine the dynamic. Like my dad wanted to kill my stepdad didn't like me. My dad, it was madness. But so I sort of rebelled a bit, and I because my dad didn't like it. It was like my friends were smoking it, so it was hash back then. In the UK, you couldn't get flour back then. It was just hash. So everyone was smoking hash. So I was like, I'm going to rebel, and I started getting involved in the hash. Um, it was just normal soap bar back then. It wasn't any. We couldn't get anything decent, but we couldn't even roll back then. So we used to like empty out cigarettes and then fill them back up with like hash crumble and tobacco and that, man. But yeah, that was my first experience. Was probably I don't remember the exact time, but we probably weren't getting that high because we were smoking with a filter on a cigarette. Like we couldn't even roll joints, man. But yeah, hash. I love my hash to this day because of that. I've always preferred hash over flour, especially when I started getting decent hash later on, man. But that was it. Very young, just smoking it for many years, man. So I didn't start growing until probably about 14 year ago. So I smoked for a long time before I even knew what a plant was, to be honest.
yeah, that's a cool experience, man. Like the realization that you can grow it, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's over here. It was I don't know. It was really hidden. I mean, there was no Instagram. There was no Facebook. There was forums, I think, back then. But I mean, I didn't know nothing about them. So it was you didn't know. You just didn't know. It was you buy weed or you don't, man. And that was it. So yeah. But I stopped for a long time. I smoked for about 14, about 18, 19 probably. But I started playing rugby
Oh
quite
shit.
a lot. So I had to stop. But then I broke my leg. I was in pain. I couldn't sleep, and I thought I'll start. So I started getting prescribed pain medication and sleeping medication. And I suddenly realised that I remember something used to put me asleep. So I started buying it again, and that is when flour was around. And then the prices of it was. I remember I went to buy an eighth, which is like 3.5 gram, and back in the day that was £20. So I remember ringing my mate, the same person was still doing it. Like this is like 8 years later, saying, "Can I have an eighth?" And he's turned up with his bag and he gave it to me, and it was like I don't know under a gram, but that's what they were calling an eighth now, even though it's an eighth. They were charging £20 for that. So straight away I clicked in my head
Prices.
that I need to grow this shit. You know what I mean? It's going to cost me a fortune. So that's what started it off on the journey of sort of looking at growing was just I couldn't believe the prices, man. I was getting charged £20 for like under a gram. It was madness. So yeah.
That's wild, man. I wanna back this up a little bit because
Mm.
I find it super ironic, like here in the U.S. and I mean I don't know how old you are. I'm 42, so So,
Don't
you know,
look it, man.
90s, like, yeah, everybody knows the brick weed and like that's kind of usual story. But it's like anytime I hear stories from you guys over in the UK there, it's like always hash, like you mentioned hash there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of funny because to me, because I was just talking about a story today, like when I was breaking up the brick and you get the seeds out of it, and then somebody was like, "Yeah, you can't smoke the seeds," and then it was like it fucking dawned on me right then, like seeds. Wait, I can grow this shit. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, but it'd be different with hash because you're not really ever seeing the seeds. You know what I mean? So you'd almost have to kind of put two and two together a little further down the line than to realize what was going on. You know?
It was brickweed, I think, for over that side of the pond was the hash that we had here, as in that's all you had for a long time, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, I know that there would have been better genetics floating about, but it was just hash here. And I know that back in the day, or maybe that was just the cheaper stuff over there, but like it was Mexican brickweed, I think, wasn't it? On that side of the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just didn't have it. You couldn't get green. I mean, flour wasn't here. And believe it or not, the flour that was here was cheaper back then, and it's like suddenly a massive change. So everyone sort of realized, like, the flour was better and nicer, but it was like almost a byproduct. It was almost a byproduct of hash back then. If you could get it, it was cheaper by like the kilo or the pound by the large amounts. It was the same price. That changed drastically very quickly over here. I mean, hash went down, but then the grades of hash went down to the point it was that soap bar, we call it, where you get bits of plastic and shit in it. It was just nasty crap. But that went down to like £50 an ounce, and suddenly weed was like 120, £150 an ounce. So yeah, it was weird, but I missed all of that, man. I missed the transition to weed. I was smoking, so I'm actually that old. I'm 34 now, so there probably was the green about, but it was just, I mean, it was just a hash sort of culture. Everyone was hash. All of the old stoners were hash. No one wanted bud, so it just didn't occur to me to even want to look at growing back then. I wish I had, because I would have cracked it a bit earlier, because I spent many years growing shit plants, man. But
Right.
you know what I mean? But it's yeah, I love my hash, man. If I haven't smoked, so I got quite ill a while ago, so I just use RSO now. But if I had to pick, I would pick hash, or every time, man. Decent hash, not that shitty soap bar with plastic in it. But yeah, I love the hash, man.
Oh yeah, that's cool. So you started growing after you got hurt in rugby, you said?
Yeah, well, I started growing. It was more the sleep. I wasn't able to sleep, but then suddenly I went from training like 5 days a week and playing 1 day a week to not, so it's not having a lot of sleep on that, to having none of that, and then that sleep was just non-existent. They started giving me all these sleeping tablets, and it just suddenly dawned on me. Like, I remember I used to fall asleep a lot, like, when I shouldn't be falling asleep because I was so battered back in the day. So I thought, let's get on it, man. Let's get some green in, and that's sort of how it started. And then that's how I found the forums, which was really lucky, because it was a bit of a dark place for me, because I just lost my passion, and what was my lifestyle, which was this rugby. And I thought, I'm not paying that sort of money just to sleep. And then I found found forums, and it rolled from there, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was actually, I'm blessed that it happened, because I met people, but what, 14 years ago, that I talk to today, like every day on there. It sort of saved me in a few ways, got me back into my sleep. Obviously, I wasn't paying stupid money. I learned to grow, and it become a serious passion just to grow without any other aspects of it. And I met good people, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know about stoner communities. I was in pubs and being an idiot, man. I wasn't a stoner back then. I was an idiot, but it
Yeah, the
turned my
rugby
life
guys
around.
get a little crazy, don't they?
Yeah, this is it. So it got a bit mental back then, but it completely changed me, man. Changed my life, changed everything about me, and I'm so grateful to that plant. To remember the first plant that I ever grew, and it changed a lot for me and the people that I met. And to this day, meeting like yourself, Eagle, you just meet good people through weed, man, and through cannabis and through growing. It's a real cool community. Everyone seems to be cool, which you don't get in other cultures or communities. Not cultures in cultures, you know what I mean, but other
Yeah, for the
hobbies.
most part. I think it's still the 80-20 rule, There's still
Mm.
the guys.
This stood out there, yeah.
That's funny. So I mean, the way you described rugby was a passion and kind of your lifestyle. Like, how far did you take that? Was that like?
I've got to quite a high level with it, man. Yeah, I done well with it. I got to a reasonable level, and it was just again, I have to have something in my life to get stuck into, if that makes sense. And I like the team aspects to things. I need direction in my life where I go a bit bandy, I think, and that's what that was. I mean, it just even if I didn't enjoy it for some years there, it was just I went there, I trained X amount of days, I played X amount of days, and it was a big loss to lose that when I done my leg up. So, but then I replaced it with the plant, man, and I replaced it with the people around the plant, and it gave me direction, it gave me something to do. So, yeah,
And
man.
a little less violent, something to do.
Yeah, you don't get hurt and you're not out in the freezing cold getting covered in frosty mud every Sunday. So yeah, it's
Right.
good, man.
Oh man, that's a tough sport. Actually, my old brother-in-law he's from South Africa, and he actually
Oh, fair play.
how he made it over to the US to
Mm,
my old sister-in-law, all that was by playing rugby. So he got on a over here they call him like a semi-pro team or whatever.
yeah,
But then they set him up with a job and a place to live and all that. And he plays on their team and
mad, man.
so I've seen a few rugby games, man. It was a sport I never understood, but you watch a few games, you kind of get the pace of it.
Yeah,
And one thing
it's
that you always leave real clear of is it's fucking not. It's not a game for the weak at heart. It's fucking.
mm.
I think I've seen a half dozen games, and each one of them somebody was leaving the field bleeding, and like I
It's
was like,
often someone gets hurt, but you know what though? It's one of them games that the reason I like it they call it a gentleman's sport, and that often makes it sound posh. Over here, it's looked at like that, but it's not. It's you learn a lot. I want my boys to play it because you learn a lot about discipline and respect, as you do with most sports.
yeah,
But you learn to also use, as you say, your aggression, but in a controlled manner and not in a erratic or violent way. And it's a beautiful game. It really is. It's just, but them you said that South Africans, they don't muck about, man. I played a few of them over the years, and they don't muck about over there. They like
no,
bashing people up.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Rugby for you guys is like really that's one of the major sports too, right? Like,
It is, yeah. I mean, it was. It's not so popular in football now, is or soccer for you lot
okay,
over there, but that's the main one here. Boxing's coming back now, but rugby used to be, but it still is. But it's sort of it's there, but it's not saying everyone sort of raves about anymore. Unless we're playing in the Six Nations, we're playing Wales or Ireland or Scotland, then you get a bit of buzz about it because you're playing another country in the UK. So that gets a bit interesting, man.
yeah, I bet.
So
Cool. Back to the
yeah.
cannabis. So, how was what was your first grow like? Tell me how this setup went.
So my first grow was what was first plant was an A. I bought 11 autos, AK 47
Auto.
autos, and only one of them germinated. So straight away I knew I had to learn a bit more because these were like £10 a seed. This is back when autos were more expensive and a bit more rare, and they were like £10 a seed, and only one germinated. So I ended up finding a forum. I got on there asking for help about germination by googling, and I went and bought Barney's Farm blue cheese and Barney's Farm pineapple chunk. Now, because I'm a new grower, I'm not going to let that first plant die, and I want to grow it. So I decided to veg the plants in a 1.2 by 0.610, four of them for the life of the auto. So you're talking about 11-week veg. Everyone's telling me it won't work, but I'm one of them people where I have to sort of learn from my own mistakes. So I ended up vegging them, but they got such a state they ended up herming and they receded. But the AK-47 auto was spot on, and I remember it was a beautiful, beautiful plant, and that I just fell in love with it from them, man. Because what I realised then was even me with my novice attempt at growing with a proper dry and curing, which what people kept telling me back then, the old school heads were saying like it was better than anything I could get on the street here because it's all quick dried here. They pull it down at 7 weeks and it's quick dried and it's sold to people. So I realised that if I could do that on my first attempt, it would crap compared to what most people would like. But I realised that if that's what I can do there, then yeah, I'm in it for the right thing. And I only got an ounce off of it, but I mean, an ounce was like would have cost me at that time like 240, 300 pound over here, you know. So and I was only smoking for sleep, so I was only having a joint before bed. So that, yeah, I was hooked, man, for my little auto. Yeah.
So then you never stopped from there. You just kept growing the room and the space and adding things and
Yeah, I grew that one, and the missus got a bit paranoid, so I ended up just going into a wardrobe, um, just growing one plant in a wardrobe. I was in soil for this time, not like living soil. It was bag of compost, bottled nutrients, um, and then I remember someone had the THC bomb. It had just come out from bomb seeds, and it had clones of it, and it was I mean, it completely battered me. And nothing to put me. I was searching for something to put me asleep, which is why I was smoking, and they had these clones, and it was like, but yeah, obviously you've got a plant in the wardrobe, need to put a tent up. I was like, she won't let me. So she went away on holiday for like 5 days in the UK. So she come back, and there was 3 tents set up in the bedroom and the wardrobe. So that's what got me back into the tents, man. But yeah, I just kept growing. I grew in soil for a very long time, man. Yeah, in poorly, I wouldn't listen back then. I mean, one of them ones. You know, you get them people like, so you see it on Instagram now sometimes, or on the forums back then, because there's no Instagram, where someone's showing off the shittest plant, but you can tell they're so proud by the descriptions, and they just keep posting pictures of it. Not that it's wrong to show shit plants, but you know what I mean. Everyone's like, you need to like dial down on the field. I'm like, no, it's fine. She'll ride it out and all that. But yeah, so I grew this THC bomb for about 2 years, I think, because it done the job, man. And I just started growing my kit from there. HPS lights and shit like that. All the old stuff. It wasn't LED was around, but it was Blurple. And I tried Blurple lights later on, but I just grew HPS and Saw for probably 4 or 5 years, man.
so like when you say soil, was that like Pro Mix or
Oh, that was anyone in the chat from the UK. Verve. It's from B&Q. It's like the bog standard cheapest compost you can buy over here. It's just a bag compost.
okay.
So it probably was alive. I mean, you always got a few 100,000 fungus gnats out of it, and it was no way. It wasn't about that at all, though. The old heads liked over here was it was so basic, and it's why if people are going to do bag soil, I often in the UK will say to them that it's a good one to start on because it's so basic. There's nothing in it, so it's just compost. You're not buying a loaded soil like when you're buying like a BioBiz or something like that. Over I know there's different brands in the US,
Yeah.
but you're buying something that's so basic, it is going to need feeding within 2 weeks. So there's no, you know, it's like when you're buying the compost, the loaded compost. I don't know if it's the same with like super soils, but you might start running out of certain things first, and they might start getting certain deficiencies. But then the bottled nutrient you're feeding it will cover all the bases. So now you've got to feed it something it's already got enough of, trying to give it something. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just a basic compost. It was shit. It's like £3 a bag of 50 litres. So it was cheap, cheerful, and um, yeah, but then I just used like a organic bottled. So it's not organic, but I thought I was growing organic nutrients with that over here. So yeah, man.
Oh yeah, dude, that was sure it was rocking. Like it, I started right out into cocoa. Actually, it was my
Mm.
first. But how long did it take you to figure out to switch into? Because you're running cocoa now, right? Is that
Yeah. I mean, I wish I'd done it a lot sooner. It is. It took me. I don't know. Been in cocoa about 4 years, so I mean a long time, probably about 8, 10 years, I think, in soil. Or I had a little stint in water, but that went very wrong very quickly. But I had a plant. I grew a plant, and everybody that was around me on this forum or that I knew couldn't work out what was wrong with it. And they were saying kill it. And again, I'm stubborn. So I was like, no. And I ended up getting it to like, I don't know, 4 months in, and this thing just wouldn't move. And someone said to me that the only way you're going to save this plant or be able to turn it around is to wash the soil off the roots and put it into cocoa. And I've been scared of cocoa, EC, pH. I didn't know none of this stuff. But the person that was going to mentor me for that grow was probably one of the best growers I've ever seen. So I jumped at the chance. So I ended up washing 20 litres of soil off of, it was like completely rooted pot. I had to wash it off. I was washing it off at 2 in the morning in the bath because the kids couldn't see it, and I blocked the bath, and it was a mess, man. But and then I put it into cocoa, and I ordered the nutrients the next day, and they turned up 2 days later, so it had plain water. But I got into cocoa. The plant couldn't be saved, but the point is I realised growing by numbers, and once someone had explained to me in a language that I could understand, and sometimes it takes someone to be able to say something a certain way, I realised that cocoa was not as hard as what I thought. And then I had my first cocoa grow. That Balls on the Forum mentored me on, and never looked back, man. I wish that I'd started in cocoa, and I always say to people now, I know there's this living soil and the organics is out there now, but to learn to grow cannabis, to learn how to fix a plant, to learn what a plant needs, there's no better medium than cocoa. No better medium than cocoa. For me personally, you can turn a plant around in 2 days. You can adjust the feed every day. You can't do that in soil. There's so many things that you can do to learn to grow and how to read your plants and correct your plants in cocoa that you can't do in any other medium. So, yeah, I haven't looked back since I started in cocoa, man.
No, yeah, I mean, I started in cocoa too. That's how I learned and grew from there and all that. I wouldn't disagree. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of versatility there. I don't know if that's the best thing for a newbie to have, as long as they stick to a pretty decent regimen or some basic advice. Yeah, I've seen a lot of new growers absolutely kill it right away in cocoa. So
It's sort of throwing them in the deep end with one armband because it is a bit tricky, cocoa, but it's so safe. If an issue starts up in cocoa, you're going to see it within a couple of days normally, and you can fix it because you can put a fresh feed for it twice a day if it's rooted. If it's rooted to put out, you can put a fresh feed for it every day. Obviously, in soil, you can't do that. You're going to kill the micro herd off and damage what you've got going on underneath the surface. You can't keep throwing water at it and feed it. But it is a bit more involved. But it's for that reason I think that for learning, it's good. But I do get that it is a bit tricky. But then the other scale is water. You go for water, your pump dies, your plants are dead 4 hours later. So it's like that buffer in between the two. It is hydroponic growing, but it's the buffer in between the two completely different ends of the scale.
yeah, I see what you're saying. No, I definitely, and I will say too, like I think some of the techniques in cocoa style of growing and some of the inputs have kind of advanced a lot too. So there's definitely some pretty amazing shit. I mean, to be honest, just a few weeks back, I was in a friend of mine that's absolutely killing it, dude, and puts mine to shame. I mean, like I was like, you just raised the bar of what I can expect to try to hit here, man. It was gorgeous, dude. So yeah, I mean,
No, it's what I messaged you. I said to you to do what you do consistently. Now, the difference between a cocoa grow and a soil grow, especially a living soil grow, where you're not just feeding bottled nutrients into a soil, to be consistent in soil. And this is the difference between what I say for cocoa for newer growers: consistent in soil and good at it. That is the top end grower because there are so many things that can go wrong, and it's not a simple fix. It may be simple once you know everything, but you know what I mean. If your micro herd or if your soil is out of whack, that can take a good couple of weeks to get back. It may be longer. You know what I mean? It can be real tricky. So to be consistently good at soil, that's the best grower of the group, as in a practical grower that can consistently grow well in a living soil, any soil. To be honest, cocoa makes it look easy is where I'm going. So I couldn't grow in the soil, and I've been growing long enough to know how to grow. By the time I still couldn't grow in the soil, my first cocoa grow was amazing. Cocoa's easy in that way. It's a bit more manual labor, but it makes people look good. So I wouldn't be worried about raising your bars, mate. You do good enough as it is.
no, absolutely, man. I can't disagree with that. Like, I almost feel like it is kind of the progression of things too, where it's like some of the guys, like, I know Eagles kind of thinking about it and whatever, but it's like, I think almost that's the intriguing part about it a little bit is it's that new adventure, you know what I mean? Like you do something in the cocoa for so long and it is kind of that routine.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you almost kind of want to have a little bit of a new twist or a challenge to do something.
Yeah, man. I've just started I live in soil grow for a grow out on the farm, and it's only going to be 1 or 2 pots, but it's that new experience, like you say. It's the new adventure. But I'm scared. I mean, honestly, I do quite well in cocoa, but I'm scared to go into soil because I know it's a lot more tricky. Is where I'm going with it.
What
You
are
know,
you doing?
It's just that it's one of the sponsors on the forum does a living soil starter kit.
Okay.
So we spoke about it before we've done it, and for people like me, if I'm doing really well in cocoa, it's not that I'm lazy, but I haven't not. I'd like to put the time in the research, but I'd have to research and make my own soil, especially in the UK.
Oh,
It's not
cool.
as readily available as over there for what we do.
Right.
And he just started doing his living store starter kit. So it's an opportunity for me to buy something. It come all separate, and I mixed it all up and let it sit for a couple of weeks. Added some bits to it. But if I like the living soil, then I can continue growing, expanding, and making my own tweaks to it. But it's just going to be a couple of autos in a say I think like a 30 litre pot, a 30 litre pot. So it's just a basic. Basically, it ends up being a bag soil, but it does come separate, and it's got everything. It had the sphagnum moss in there, the worm castings, and a load of other goodies. But you mix it all up, so it's the same. It's a living soil, but I'm cheating basically. I've got
It's
given the
not
kit,
cheating. That's
so
awesome. It's not
mm,
cheating at all, man. That's awesome.
mm.
I dig it. So, what are you afraid of then? I mean, it sounds like you got a pretty nice start to it.
Yeah, I just it's out of my comfort zone. It's like the fear that I felt going to cocoa from soil before. I now feel it trying to go back into soil, just because I know what I'm doing with cocoa and I can fix things quite quickly, and I know how to read a plant and fix it with my cocoa nutrients. But like you said with Eagle, it is new adventure. I need that because it's getting so repetitive now that I get so lazy that I see things going wrong. And because I know that I can turn it around, I don't necessarily turn it around. So my last few grows have been, you know, not the best ones. You know what I mean? Because you just get
That's
lazy with it because you know it's not that big a problem. You know, it's like you got a new grower, they get like a tiny yellow spot on the leaf and they're having a meltdown.
right, right.
Once you know, you know it's not a huge problem, but then that's the 1% I always talk about.
I just laugh like, at that Keeno because that just happened to me like actually just recently. Whereas like at my basement, yeah, I've noticed some spider mites, and I was kind of busy. I've seen it on a couple leaves, but it wasn't like freak out fucking moment. I know I can deal with them. I know what I got to do. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah,
kind of like, I'll get to it tomorrow. Yeah,
but that's what experience brings, doesn't it?
yeah,
But I've never dealt with spider mites, and I touch wood. I hope I never have to. But that's what I'm saying. I need a little bit of fear in me, I think, to get that passion back. It's not that I've lost the passion with growing, but it's just I sort of go out there, throw water at them, and I don't even look at them once I'm past like week 4 or 5 now because they're trained, and I know as long as my ranges are in my environments in range, I'm not in there tweaking. If I was though, if I was in there removing the odd leaf that was covering a bud site, or listing something into position, I'll do a bit better. But I've actually it's just I don't want to do it because it's just repetitive, repetitive, repetitive. So a new little adventure might be quite good, man.
yeah. Now your biggest challenge is probably going to be back to basics, which is going to be maintaining moisture content
Yeah,
in the medium.
that's
That's the trickiest part, man.
this is what I'm looking at. So you need a big pot because it's living soil, and you need a lot of it to keep it healthy. So I mean, I'm doing an auto, which is probably the worst thing to do for me, going straight into a big pot. But how do I manage that moisture content? I'm used to cocoa. I can throw 10 litres at a pot if I want to once they're rooted. I can't do that in living soil. So I've really got to get back to, as you say, really focusing on, I don't know, maybe the weight of the pot or just getting used to the feel of the soil. Or if you've got any tips on that, I'll be
Yeah, I mean, if possible, definitely, the feel of the lifting it. I've, I mean, to me, that's after consistently doing it so many days, you just get that knack for it. It's the easiest way. But if they're too big of pots, then you gotta have some way of measuring it, kind of, or it gets a little difficult. So
that's the thing. You're starting seedlings, aren't you? You're going to be moving into. I've started it in a 50% cocoa, 50% of the living soil mix in tiny little pots, just so I'm not going to kill them if it's too hot. But then they are going to have to go into this great big pot. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
yeah, I mean, if anything, I would try to keep it dry. I mean,
Okay.
because like in that big pot, you're looking at that water is going to make its way to the bottom on consistent basis. So the top's going to look dry where there's still going to be water in the media, you know. So that's the hardest part about it is you got to wait for the roots to get out to it. So
Yeah.
that's my only, I guess, the best thing I could try to say over this, you know.
Hmm.
And I don't have it perfect either, man. I've been killing my little seedlings left and right. So
Don't say that. You got me nervous now.
pissing me
If you're
off.
killing them.
Yeah. Yeah, they get their first set of leaves and then they just fucking die, dude.
Oh, don't. Uh,
Yeah.
I popped 3 and I only need 1. I've done that for that reason in case I do because it's a sponsored grow off. So I think he's asked me to do it because I do okay in cocoa, but obviously I haven't grown in soil, so I've really got to try and make it not look terrible for him because it ain't gonna look good. But yeah.
No, I think you'll do all right, man. It's
Hmm.
just a lot of it's just trust in the system, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that honestly, that's the biggest hurdle I had, and I still have, is like just kind of understanding that shit happens in there.
Hmm.
We don't see it, you know. We don't get to control it.
Well, that's the key word is control. I have full control in cocoa. That's the hardest bit for me, I think, to letting go is like there's all these little creatures and things in there doing it for me. You know what I mean? That's going to be the hardest bit. But I've enjoyed it though. I've got the soil, I mixed it up. I've been feeding it. I put some MBP in there. I put a couple other bits he's given me. I've kept it in a light and dark periods. I've kept it decent temperature. So it's different. I'm sort of now looking after this bag of soil before it goes into the pot, but it's different. So
Uh,
yeah.
you document a lot of those too, right? You said you were documenting that one.
Yeah. That's the one thing I do love about the forums is I know they're old school and they're a bit more clunky to use than say one click Instagram, but you do grow diaries, and the beauty of that is you can go back and look in detail, not just go back and look at a picture. You mean if you do a regular one, which I'm not, I'm very busy at the moment with other bits for the forum, but I can go back and look at my grows for the last 4 or 5 years, and I can look at them in detail on a weekly basis and see what where I could have tweaked or what went wrong, and that will be the beautiful thing. You know, it's like we're looking at plants every day. We don't notice them doing anything, but if you go back and look at a picture from 1 week ago, every Sunday, say, take a picture every Sunday, a nice description of what the temperature was, what the feeds were, you can really see the difference move, man. And you can also see any issues starting up very early. I mean, GMO's got an eagle eye. He often looks at my grows and will point things out long before I see him. So yeah. I mean, he told me about. I never had Fritz before, so I had these little tiny plants. I was all proud of them, and he was like, "You just wanted to come underneath them leaves," and I was like, "Why?" Yeah, Fritz, man, evil little bastards.
It's cool though, because that is how you learn. I mean, that's sort of like like for anybody beginner grower, just know that like experienced growers aren't necessarily trying to rag on you for like
Mm,
showing you something. It's probably because
yeah,
we're assuming that you didn't notice it. You know, I had
yeah.
the same thing, man. Like I was all proud as a peacock of my plants one time, showing them off to this dude I knew, and he's been growing for years. Walked in, dude. He peeked his head in. He goes, looks right at me. He goes, "You got spider mites." Turns around and walks away, and I'm like, what are you talking about? How do you know that? Where? Why? He wouldn't tell me how. He's like, you gotta fucking figure it out, dude. I've seen it just putting my head in the door. I ain't fuck walking in there.
Yeah.
I was like thinking he
That's
was
the
a
thing,
dick
isn't it?
at
Yeah,
first,
take a
but
moment with him.
yeah, but I
Uh,
had to learn, and I did. I ended up figuring out how he spotted it that quick. I found him, right away that day, but then I'm like, how the fuck did he know? I had to have a
just by
magnifying
looking in there.
glass and shit.
This is the thing. That's the experience. That's the one thing you can't get from any. You can watch a million YouTube videos, you can read a million articles, but it's the experience that's the one thing you can't get. And that's what I was saying earlier about. I can see things going wrong, but I know I'm going to be able to turn it around. So I'll do it tomorrow morning, or I'll do it tomorrow morning, and it goes on for like a week until they're half dead. But but that's can also be a problem. It can cause issues. But that's the only thing you can get is by having it. I've never had sphygmomyelitis, so I wouldn't know I had them until it was probably too late, until they started webbing up everything. But it's like with the Fritz now, I know if I see that damage again, I'm going to be nuking my plants because I will know because I've had it already. But I just never had it. But that's the beautiful thing about, well, the beautiful side of the painful mistakes that we make. is we do learn, and that's experience you can't buy and you can't learn. So yeah.
So on that note, what would you say is the biggest one big lesson that you learned? Not the biggest, it don't have to be, just one big lesson that you on the top of your head
Keep
learned.
it simple. Now that's a bit of a cop out, I know, but uh, I was into snake oils and like this bottled stuff that does magical things because it had shiny labels. If you're gonna the one lesson I learned is add one thing per grow. Keep it simple. If I add 3 nutrients, I've done this on a recent grow. I couldn't get the one that I like. I tried to replace it with 3 other ones, and then something started to go wrong about week 3 of flower. Now it could be any one of them 3 nutrients or the new LED that I've stuck in there. I don't know that, and I know that setup and I know them plants, I know that strain, but I've added 4 things for one grow. So the one thing that I will have learned as in how to avoid is keep it simple. Don't add more than one thing per grow. Build your arsenal as you go. For me, man, that's the one lesson that I've learned because I've done that so many times. I go on like I just like to go seed shopping. You know, go on a seed bank. Everyone's got like their favorite seed bank or breeder, and they've got like a basket full of 50 seeds. I do that with nutrients. So I go on like the hydro shop and I add that and I add that, and then one day I'll just get brave and buy 10 bottles, and then I want to use them all, and then yeah, it just messes shit up, man.
No, I did that. I'm just laughing, dude, because I did the exact same thing. Like I remember it was silica, and I got a sample of whatever brand silica, potassium silicate. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I had no idea like what I was doing, but I was just adding it in like right into the mix with everything else, not realizing like that I already had enough potassium going into this thing too. So yeah, I mean it was this the redundancy of things that, like you don't pick up on right away, and then you're like, oh, 3 of these bottles are the same fucking ingredients.
Yeah.
Like,
But this is it, and a lot of these bottles, especially when you're in hydroponics, they don't tell you what's in there anyway, because they put everything on the back. They tell you, then someone copy their formulation. But the point is, yeah, you've not 90% of the time they've all got the same thing in, so you're hitting the plant with 3 times as much as that, man. But yeah, keep it simple. Even experienced growers is just keep it simple. Don't try and do too much, and keep it fun. Keep it fun, man. If you make it
it's
work,
fun to do more stuff, Keeno. That's opposite.
this is it. It's fun buying it, and it's fun getting the delivery, and it's fun unpacking it and taking pictures of all your shiny new stuff. It's
Yeah,
not fun trying to use it all. That's the problem.
I know. It is funny too, because it is kind of you get in that retail therapy side of it a little bit, having the next new cool thing. So I think some of the LEDs get that way sometimes too, where it's like, oh, it's the next new shiny part on there. It's like, okay.
LEDs we were talking the other day, they've hit their peak almost. They're already producing more light than most of us can use, unless you've got like CO2 and recirculating ventilation. But it is. I'm already looking at new lights. I've just got one because it's the new shiny one. You know what I mean? It's mad. It drags you in.
No, I just realized I had the same realization what you just said, Keno. So I'll verbalize it for everybody listening. But I mean, a lot of that shit, man, where they're gunning to be the biggest amperage and the most whatever PPF output there is. The plant still can't do that. So you get that big hot rod fucking light and you run it at 33%. So
Yeah,
it
this is
gets,
it.
yeah,
Running
it's
raw.
like
Mm.
it's like having a top fuel dragster that you're trying to just half quarter throttle.
It is. That's a good example. Having a supercar, say, and you can only do 30 mph in it because of the speed limit. But you've got the supercar, but yeah, it's mad. I was talking to an LED manufacturer on that Friday one we do the podcast, and I said to him like, what are you going to compete on now? Because I think he's hitting like 3.3 micromoles now on one of his lights, and I said, where we can't use? I think 2.1. I can't. I'm not good. This is GMO territory, but we can't use that light. So I said, where are you going to be competing, or where are LED companies going to compete? He said, well, on efficiency. But the point is we've already got as efficient as we can use, really, realistically, for our plant anyway. So it's going to be an interesting few years of LED
Yeah,
to see where they go, man.
I think the trend you'll see is more LEDs per board and
Yeah,
spreading them out in a bit different array to because what they'll end up having to do, I think, Keeno, is they're going to have a more consistent reading of PPFD across the canopy that you're
yeah.
trying. You know, like that tent in your picture or whatever. If every single square in that scrog has the same amount of light hitting it, that's going to be your goal right there. You know, so
Trying to get a picture up of the LED that I've got in there now. This is why I like the strips LEDs. I mean, they were around for a long time. They're very expensive, but now this is getting to what you're saying now.
look at
Is
all
this
them bars.
this is it though? See, I had the 400. It's 720 watt in there at one point. I don't need it, but I'm running out of things to buy. I'm getting the retail therapy, so I have two more in there now. I don't need it. So the point is you're right. This is where they're going now, and these sorts of bars now they're putting twice as many LEDs on it and running at the same power, which is given a lot more efficiency, and you're actually getting better light out of it. But we're going to end up seeing like a 400 watt LED that's got 1,000 chips that's 1.2 by 1.2 wide. That's going to be where they end up because it is. You're right. They need to cover the canopy completely and do it right. That's why I didn't buy into the new white LED when it was all these compact panels because to me it just didn't make sense. I might as well have my HPS in there because if LED to me has if you're going to the way it works in my head is to get an efficient light to do well, you need to cover the entire canopy. So that's what I was waiting for, but I weren't going to buy into the fluences and that they're like 2.5, 3 grand. That was only a few years ago, but
Yeah.
these are now starting to become quite popular and therefore cheaper. These strip lights, so
No, I
yeah,
dig.
man.
Yeah. It's, so if just once again for anybody listening to me too, whatever, but if anybody wants to join into that forum you were talking about and they wanted to start one of those diaries for
Yeah,
themselves, how would they do that?
it's just growing420.com. It's just a website. As I said, they're a bit old school. I know my old Flower's been struggling a little bit. He tries to get on there sometimes, and I think he loses his shit with it. But yeah, just go on there and sell us a community, man. We do it. It's a huge passion, and I'm not trying to plug it. I'm saying it because it is such a big part of what I do.
Yeah.
We give away thousands of seeds a year. We're giving away an LED light a week at the moment, and we don't do that for any other reason. We're not a business. We don't make no money. There's no money involved in what we do. I mean, or in fact, it costs us money to do most of the things we do. So it's we just want people growing weed, man, and we want people growing with good genetics or the best genetics that we can get them. So yeah, that is what the forum is. It's not a business. It's not there to do any ulterior motives. We just want to give people free shit to grow with at the end of the day. But obviously, we can't just hand out. It has to be members. But you know what I mean.
No, I do, dude. And that's why I honestly, I got a ton of respect for you and GMO and the stuff
Yeah.
you guys are doing and work to build a community, you know, in your own place, you know, and have things going on in other countries is just cool. You know what I mean? I just think it's awesome. So I definitely want to support you guys. However,
No, I appreciate it, man.
you know,
It,
Flower, I'm gonna say, man, I think you're listening. Maybe he's not quite up yet, but
probably in
I
bed.
didn't get along with the forum too well either, man.
Yeah. No,
Didn't get along so well.
I want to get an app built. I mean, it's just obviously it's further down the line because I understand that people are so used to Instagram now. Yeah, it's click a button, type a few words, bang, and you're going. You have to create a gallery on the forum, and but then the thing is with the galleries, you can create sub albums and have dedicated albums for individual strains and diaries. But yeah, I do get it. But that's what we're doing now is we are branching out now. We were so not looking inwards, but we were so used to being UK growers, which most of us were at the time. A lot of US on there now, but at the time it was like a little island, and we stayed on our little island. But now with the YouTube community, the Instagram, and the people that we meet, like I message you, Demi, had a laugh. I'm winding Stu Moo up all day today. It's a bigger community, and that's something we learned this with COVID, basically, with this lockdown, and being able to talk to yourself when you come on our show, to Eagles, to everyone in chat, to the people that we talk to. It's a much wider community than we ever sort of allowed ourselves to see. So we want to start doing more. We're going to start doing competitions on like plant-based stuff, like plant of the month, grow of the month, bud of the month on the social media, the stuff we do on the forum. Starts trying to sort of spread what we do further out, but it just takes time to get it all up and running and do it, man. But
man, I mean, honestly, I don't know how you guys keep up with it because you're doing the show too, right? On YouTube. That's 3 nights a week or 4?
it's normally 3 nights a week. GMO's had a little break. He does the Thursdays, which is the worm one. I know you like.
Yeah.
The Grow and Diaries you do. Obviously, we had Eagle on the other night, man. That was brilliant with Kevin.
Yeah.
Jody, that was honestly I end up I know you just listening so intently to two people that you forget that you're supposed to be asking questions. It was like that towards the end, man. I was like, but it was epic. But yeah, we do that, and we do the Friday night one, so which a few people jump on and have a laugh. But yeah, man, but nothing like what Eagle's done. Can't believe it. His year's coming up soon, isn't it? It's what 10, 12 days away.
Yeah, something like that, man.
Yeah, man. Show every day for a year.
No doubt, man. Shout out to Ego. I know he's whatever. He's having some trouble tonight, but whatever, man. Shout out to you, Ego. Keep your head up.
I said it on ours when he was on the other night, but I was a bit hectic with what I was saying. I don't know if it come across right, but you got to look at what he's done through the period that he's done it. Now, people don't realise this is the one thing that our reason I found forums, not my forum when we were on before I was even thing. Sometimes that 10 minutes of the day can mean more than you could ever know to somebody. Just being there, being able to interact with somebody, just sit in this chat or listening to a podcast or being in an Instagram group. It doesn't have to be a forum, it could be anything. Through a very difficult time, Eagle has sat here and done this day in, day out. And I don't think he understands every ounce of respect needs to be given to that man, because it couldn't have been easy to do it every day. And a lot of people have had something to look forward to and a time when there ain't much to look forward to every single day. So fair play to him, man. I have to give full respect to him.
Yeah, no doubt. So everybody needs a little encouragement sometimes too. It's not he set out a big task, man. There's a lot of people
I don't know how he's done it
every day.
Yeah, every day, and then he does the wormhole. See, this is the thing. Is this time though, so I miss it. I mean, I always try and catch up, but I always by the time I get up, everyone's finishing, man. Because it's like 4:20 here now, actually. So yeah.
Oh,
ding,
cheers
ding.
to that, man. Let's smoke one. You got something to smoke on?
No, I only take RSO now, mate. So.
Oh, you do? All right.
I've smoked for a long time, but I want to get like a decent vape or something. But I just use RSO now. So yeah, I really miss it. I was saying the other day how much I miss the taste of hash. I actually made hash a little while ago. I just sat here I was sitting in my hand smelling it like some sort of addict. You know what I mean? But I don't smoke it. But I actually made hash. I rolled it up in my hand, like sitting there smelling it while I'm on the podcast. But yeah.
So how much RSO are you taking?
It depends, mate. Well, I wasn't very well a little while ago, and I was taking as much as I could probably get away with, really, just to help me get through that. But now it's more sleep, so I don't tend to stick to amounts per se. I will just use I'll just tack a bit, and I'll tack a bit more. And like you can see it on the Friday night podcast, sometimes I get a bit enthusiastic with it and end up like melting. But yeah, I don't. Not these days. Like it's more recreational, if anything. But I just like the feel of it, man. It's different. It's it does it gets me into that mood. Because like when I first started the podcast, I wasn't using RSO and I wasn't smoking, and I felt like I was faking, even though I grew for RSO and I stockpiled RSO, and if I can help people, I do. But everyone was stoned and I wasn't, so I started using it on the podcast, and that's how it got me back into sort of recreationally using it again. But I just stockpile it, to be honest, man, in case illness or anything else comes back, or anyone else around me needs it. It was a big help for a long time. So
no doubt, man. The RSO helps a ton of people. So it's interesting. So, and you guys are red state too, still, right? Like,
yeah, man. We're red state over here, but I do honestly think it's the best we're going to have it at the moment. Now that's a real controversial statement, but over here there's no way the government's going to let us walk around recreationally. It's not going to happen. I mean, I hope to God that I'm wrong. I'll touch some wood that I'm wrong. They're not going to do that. It's going to be the way these governments work over here. It's going to be medical, and it's going to be controlled by them, and you're going to pay taxes on it. And now the reason I think that that's the best that we've ever had it is right now is because at the moment, if you get arrested over here, you get a caution. You might get a £70 fine for under 10 plants. You're not getting in trouble. But the minute that they are making tax money on it, that's going to be very, very different. They're going to look at me like I'm a cash cropper, like I'm selling, or that I'm taking money out of their pocket. I think it'll be a lot worse. I hope to God that I'm wrong, but at the moment, it's about as legal as it can be. I mean, if no one, I've had them in my house before, in my old place, and they see my grow, but they were there for a reason that wasn't to do with me, and they ignored it. There's
Oh,
no, there's no to them. It's just going to cost. It's going to cost them thousands of pounds to arrest me. By the time I'm arrested, go into a police station, paperwork, the man hours for a £70 fine. You know, unless they are told specifically, and someone grasses you up, or you're being stupid and selling, or you're not using a filter. I think you're pretty safe over here at the moment, man. But that doesn't mean that I should condone anyone doing it. Obviously, it's against the law. I'm saying, but for me, I feel safer than I think I would if it was legal over here.
yeah, no, it sounds kind of, yeah, it's a little like that too for us. I mean,
Mm.
it's almost like there's still a gray area where there's like this underlying clause where like if they want to, they can fuck with you. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
still a
yeah,
reason, because like for us, it's legal state by state law. It's totally legal, right? And
mm.
but by federal law, it's not. So if you ever get out of line and the state wants to do something, they just call the federal in and then let them fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
like, so yeah, it's kind of a similar thing. There's like that underlying clause still, which sucks, and it's
I
like,
bet it is. It's got to leave a lot of doubt and paranoia in, especially in big businesses as well that set up. I mean, obviously in everyone's head, down to the hobby grow of one plant. I mean, if it's legal, but it's not federally legal, but you can imagine trying to set up a business. I mean, I remember I don't know much about it, so I don't normally get involved in the conversations they do come up on the podcast on ours because I don't like other countries. I don't want to be saying that other countries' politics, but I do remember watching a documentary on it. Might have been a YouTube one where they were going and busting people that were growing in legal states. This federally busting them. It's craziness, man. Absolute
they still
madness.
are today, Keeno. They still are today.
It's madness, man.
I see
It's
that on
madness.
Instagram. Just yeah, I mean, they're still busting people, and like I say, man, it's just that underlying clause of where, yeah, if they feel like they want to fuck with you that day, it's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Nah, it's not right, mate. But it is just obviously the way it is over there. But hopefully it changes. I mean, how does that work? I mean, I'm gonna get deep with it, but obviously taxes are paid through dispensaries and that. Does that not go to the federal, or does that stay in state? How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It stays in the state, I would imagine, because
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, because
right.
if anything is backed up to the government, if the states are paying taxes to the government, and obviously the taxes are coming from the same thing that's federally illegal, but that's sort of politics, mate. Just stick to growing plants, isn't it? Politics is messed up, man.
No, but you raise a good point because no, I'd like to even say it too. I mean, yeah, the governments are making money off shit that people are in jail for, and that's bullshit. You know what I mean? And that shouldn't be happening. So if the fucking government's able to make money off it, they shouldn't be throwing fucking people in jail, and they
Yeah.
should let the people out that are in.
Well, that's the big thing in it. I mean, I think I was speaking to Teo the other day about. He said I think that there's some clause, isn't there? There's some states or some clauses where people are released for
Yep,
if
it's
they've
starting to
yeah.
get to that. Yeah,
So
Illinois I know did a really good
yeah, that's good, man.
from what I heard. So it is good because I mean, honestly, that's I I mean, I've been at it a long time too, not necessarily growing, but actually, selling and smoking and all that. And it's like, I really don't take for granted the standing on the shoulders of giants, like these guys that did do time were getting busted and people still growing and still growing and still growing. Because it is that's exactly why we're at the point where we are now. It's like,
Yeah,
we,
man.
them people started something that overgrew the prohibition, so
Yeah.
shout out to that.
No, it is, mate. It's the people that have been before us. We've got it pretty easy now compared to what people have had it. I think in any country that, well, most countries. But you say over here that we were the biggest exporter of legal cannabis in 2019, probably 2020 as well. I don't know the numbers to 2020, but that we were the biggest. The UK was the biggest exporter of legal cannabis in 2019. How do you work that out? No, it's not government-owned company, but it turns out that a few high-ranking politicians have got stakes in the company. How do you work that out? That UK is exporting. Now look at it this way, yeah. This is a mad bit. So we've got people over here that kids that have got serious illnesses and adults, but kids should come first. They've got illnesses that are being treated in the US by cannabis, yeah.
Yeah.
And over here, it's illegal. They can't get it, or they couldn't. There's ways of getting it now, I believe, but they couldn't before. But the government is growing the weed that's probably being shipped to certain places in the US, Canada, and Europe.
Yeah.
It's turned into medicine. Now that's mind blowing shit, isn't it? But there's kids laying there, their life could be changed like that, and
I know.
But the government's selling the weed.
Well, it's sad to me, Keeno, that it would be looked at like that too. I mean, some of the stories you hear about these kids that, I mean, miraculous turnarounds in their ailments, and it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? It'll choke you up to hear their stories, all these kids,
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. Why would that be withheld from any other little kid? Like, why wouldn't that spread like wildfire? Like in the medical community, if they figured out a new procedure that fixed autism, say, right?
Yeah.
Everybody would be trying to do, you know what I'm saying? Like that would spread through the community. Hey, we got to do this, and it, you know what I mean? This is a thing. But then to realize how effective cannabis is at treating some of the symptoms, you know what I mean? Or the issues dealing with that. It's like, it doesn't spread like that, and there's still states that it's illegal, and the parents there can't use that as an option to help with their kids. It's unreal.
The reason why, mate, is simple. I can treat myself with 4 plants and a £400 setup in my, for a cost of maybe £20 a week in electricity. That doesn't make no money for no big pharma and no governments, and it's not £10 a pill. The fact that we can all do this, with a little bit of knowledge, and that's one of the big driving forces behind what we do on the website. Is we want people growing, and that's why we give away the seeds that we do and the shit that we do, because you can do this yourself, and you can do this with 4 plants. I mean, the average person with 4 plants can be more than self-sufficient, with a little bit of help to get out the door with a bit of knowledge. But then the government are not getting their £10 a pill, or the big pharma are not getting their £10 a pill for something, for something they're man-made shit that they're poisoning people with. And I'm not one of them activists. I'm not trying to get across that. Some medication is needed and is always going to have a place. I'm not one of them. But what I'm saying is there are stuff that this can. I mean, just down to depression and anxiety, stuff that we know, and there's loads more that we know. But we can't jump onto the big illnesses, and it isn't helping some, it is. But there are certain things that will change people's lives tomorrow. Just sleep. There's so many things that it will do. But I mean, they'd rather give me Zopiclone, Zolpidem, or Temazepam, drugs that are making me like a vegetable in the morning in front of my kids, rather than me have a joint at night or take some RSO. You know what I mean? It's madness, absolute mad. I'm sitting here, when I was on that stuff, I used to slur my words like I was drunk. You know what I mean? And I had to take it. So like, if one of my kids got up after 10 o'clock, I'd be sitting on the sofa like I'd been drinking. I don't drink. But you know what I mean? That's the shit they were giving me. But I would still get arrested now for taking RSO and putting myself to sleep. It's fucking madness. And then you put the kids into play. Yeah, I don't know. So you got me on a rant. I'll shut up.
No, it's a big rant, man, because it's true.
Mad, mate. It's so backwards in some places.
No doubt. Sorry, I was smoking for both of us there.
There you go, mate. I do miss it, man. So, what's up, chat? I see Chad in there.
Hey, you got Chad up? Everybody's...
Yeah, I got Chad. Let's have a look for us. See Chad's popped in. One of GR420's boys. Oh, Chad's got his thing now, and he's doing a Saturday podcast, I think. On I don't know which one it is. Future Cannabis Project, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
I love seeing it. Everyone's getting out and doing things. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these popping up, and You know, no one really clashes, and no one really. It's real nice vibe. These podcasts, man.
Yeah.
It's, it's you can imagine it if you come up with like 10, I don't know, sport podcasts. The way that these have all popped up over the last year, they'd all be trying to get each other banned and kicking off, and we're all stoners, man. So we do it right. It's good. We'll have a laugh.
No, yeah, no doubt, man. And I don't know. I like seeing how other people do things. Like it
Mm.
just some of that shit's just creative beyond like. I mean, just one example that comes to mind is like Green 13. I mean, he built the fucking cabinet and filled it with soil. You know what I mean? Like,
Let's do
and
it.
it's like, I don't know. I just think it's bad as fuck,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's different. It's a different approach and a different thought to it. It works absolutely well, And
Mm.
it's, yeah, I think that's, to me, that's the benefit of a lot of the just staying in the loop kind of thing and whatever
Yes,
way. I
mate.
mean, there's certain people use that Discord. I don't know much about that, but I mean,
Mm.
it's probably just as beneficial. It keeps you in the loop, and you're in this information, but you're learning from more people than just your own experience. So that's where you can see somebody else that's battled whatever issue. I mean, it's like, especially that forum, there's probably a diary somewhere of powdery mildew, of thrips, of spider mites, a resource like that.
But this is that's exactly what a farm is. The problem is it is a huge resource, so you have to sometimes have a search for what you're looking for. You know what I mean? So, as I say, they are old school, but yeah, it's that's one of the beauties of it is there's always something. And do you know the best bit about this is like with the whole community of Instagram, forums, YouTube, you'll get someone show up every now and then that will show up, and they have been doing it for 20 years and they've never spoke to anybody, and they're doing it so different, and they'll be like, I'd do it this way, and you're like, that won't work, it can't work, and then boom, there it is, and they're showing you plants that you couldn't dream of growing. You know what I mean? Or even a new guy shows up sometimes who's just had that stoner moment and looked at something and gone, I need something to do this. I need to create a tool or a way to do this. Now you got to think like your Wilmers and your Rezo systems, your flood and drain tables. These are all stoner moments at some point. Someone sat there, looked at a problem and went, I need to do that. I need to build this. So sometimes you'll get a new grower that's been growing 6 months and you're doing something and you think, why didn't I think of that, man? It can completely change your whole growing style and the way you do shit. So yeah, that's the beauty of it. The information is readily available, and that's why I think living soil was taken off and organics are taken off. Before it wasn't. I've seen this come around a few times within communities, but before the days of Instagram and podcasts, and it was always a bit more of a fad. Not digging it. It was just there was select groups that done it, and that was it. They kept their recipes to themselves and they done their own thing. But now the information is so available, everyone's able to get access to it, man. So
Absolutely. Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, quite a few. Yeah, there's quite a few times I've seen new growers absolutely crush, and do it on a repetitive basis. And so yeah, that to me it says a lot, just because, yeah, I mean, they did their homework, and now the information's there, and
yeah, this is it, mate.
because like, yeah, like for a long time, I mean, yeah, even when I started getting equipment and setting up a room, it was pretty hush hush still, kind of, and it was like the early part of it as far as like becoming medical. So it was like, it was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
one of them stigmas still is pretty strong there. So I definitely understand.
Is it what we're doing, mate? All of us together is we're keeping it a hobbyist lifestyle. And what I mean by that is where the information is readily available and legends like yourself, your Kevin Jodrys, the Eagles, the people that have got knowledge or don't all put platforms out to get knowledge shared, like Spartan, people like that. By them doing what they're doing for free and openly, there's no cost to it. There's no hidden clicks. There's no hidden groups. It's there. You can have it. And by doing that, we keep it open and we keep it in our hands, so to speak. We're not allowing it to become commercialized or, you know, we're keeping it with us as hobby growers. And I know some people are now commercial in the States and it's legal to do that. That all falls under the same umbrella because they're using their passion to do what they do. But we're keeping it with us, the powers of us by doing this, by keeping it free and available. So I can't take my hat off to everyone enough, man.
No doubt. No, it does get a little funny too. Someone like I don't know, just the back and forth sometimes. Like just joshing with friends is one thing, you know, but it's like in all reality, I mean, you get kind of mad of because if I was to get mad, for example, over how you grow Keeno, it's like how fucking stupid is that? I'm never gonna fucking most likely never gonna smoke anything you ever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
you're most likely never gonna ever run across anything ever. Like
yeah,
that's where it gets kind of comical. It's like, well, what does it even matter? You know, why are you so passionate about this? You know,
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
oh a minute, dude, just chill.
You know, as I always say, if someone has to prove a point, they ain't got one. And
Exactly.
that's you do. Instagram is still a bit clicky sometimes. Yeah, just I think people, I don't know, but you'll see someone like I wouldn't smoke that shit, or digging people out for using certain products, or digging people. As you say, so what, man? I don't get it. I don't get that side of it, or that clicky side of it, where it comes in. And we're stoners, man. We're all stoners. We're not supposed to be angry. We're supposed to be, chilled out and having a laugh. But yeah, you still Instagram gets like that sometimes, and sometimes I will not look at it, but sometimes I'll sit there and get the popcorn out and watch it explode because you'll see a comment drop and it's like, oh, this one's going to be good, and they start trying to verbally kill each other. But yeah, it's as you say, everyone should just let everyone get on with it. And sometimes even if someone's doing something wrong, you can try and nudge them in the right direction. But if they don't want to listen, then let them do it wrong because they're going to learn. You know what I mean? You haven't got to tell them and shout them down and be an arsehole about it, man. But,
Yeah, that was funny. So yeah, share the love, people. I don't know. It boils down to this the old grandma's old rule, you know, like if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all.
there you
Like,
go, mate. This is it. This is my saying. It's nice to be nice, and that's my signature on the forum. Nice gets nice. Nice people meet nice people. It's just such a simple saying, but you live by that. Nice to be nice. It can be translated so many different ways. There's so much takes so much more effort to upset someone. Do you know what I mean? Than just to make someone laugh. I play the Joker all the time, and even if I'm in a shit mood, I play the Joker because you make someone laugh. Then it's easy. It's just easier to do. But yeah.
about. So what do you do besides cannabis? Like do you got
What was?
I
Do you
said
mean?
you got any other hobbies besides cannabis then? Or?
No, mate. I wish I had time. The forum takes up every minute of every day that I've got. These days, we've got a lot of big things planned for the members and trying to do things, and I don't get no time, man. I like to fish, but that is another passion because I can do that with this leg. But I haven't done that for 2 years now. So, but growing and talking about weed basically is what I do. Apart from work, is what I do. That's it. I don't have any other hobbies. 3 kids, dog. Yeah, man, that's life.
Yeah. Do you mind
So
how old are your kids? I don't know if you mind asking.
yeah, no, there's 6, 12, and 13.
Oh, all right, all right.
So yeah, 12 and 13 want to kill each other 24/7. So that's coming at a referee, and that's a hobby.
Yeah.
And little man is little man. So yeah, no, it's just. I mean, that does me because the beautiful thing is I work from home, and the forum, which is not paid work, but it's sort of a job now. I get to do it at home with my kids, and my plants are here. Well, I'm not growing at the moment because I'm moving, but I mean, yeah, I'm quite happy like that, man. I've had my fun. I don't mind being the hermit now and
Nope.
chilling out and just sitting on the sofa all day, man.
I
So
like that though, dude. That's cool. It's the families kids are fun to enjoy. I have a lot of fun with my daughters and my
yeah,
grandson now.
the grandson, mate, you and Spartan, man.
Yeah.
You don't look like you should have grandkids. It's fucking
Yeah.
madness, man.
I want to say his is a year older than mine, but yeah,
Yeah, I
teenage
just he says
teenage
it.
moms. So what do you do?
Yeah, but he says it on the every time he comes on the podcast, it comes up, and I just look at him. I think you're not old enough to have grandkids, man. But fair play to you both, mate. It must be something in this organic weed. You know what I mean? It's the fountain of youth, I think.
Yeah, honestly, I do. I think there's a lot to that, man. Like, cause
Yeah,
I don't know. I've smoked shit since I was 15, pretty steady. Maybe there was about a 3-year span that I quit in the middle there. Like, you know, when the kids were born and whatever shit. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty strong on. So I don't know, man. And I never really was. Not to say that I never drank hardcore, but it wasn't like through high school, it wasn't my thing. Like if everybody was going to party and all my buddies were looking at where's the 12 pack of beer, whatever, you know, who's got the keg, and I was like, well, who's got the weed, and I'm gonna have to get the sack before we hit this because. So yeah, I never really cared to get drinks because they were always at the party, whatever little bit I was gonna drink anyway. So I was always bringing the weed anyway back
That's it, man.
then.
So I did. I drank for a little while when I was playing rugby. Probably while I look a bit older than I should. But yeah, no, I'm on the weed, man.
Yeah,
All about the weed.
no doubt. That's honestly one of my favorite parts about like growing was the whole like I remember looking through High Times and you'd see the centerfold buds and you'd hear like
Mm.
you know whatever discussion about certain legendary strain that and whatever it tasted like, you know. And in the day of brickweed, it was like, you know, oh my God, they can taste their weed. That was one of the biggest.
Yeah,
Like, man, I just want to grow something that doesn't taste like this brown fucking weed, you know?
yeah,
So that's funny. And it still is kind of the driver today, like, is, you know, it's like you want to grow something that's better than whatever, you know, smoke that somebody else had.
yeah. This is it, and it's now you can access it all, can't we? Now that's the beauty of it, and everyone seems to be breeding now, don't they? As well,
Yeah.
everyone seems to be pollen chucking. We call it over here. It's mad, man. There's a lot of mad genetics floating about without having to go to big breeders and that. So
Hashtag pollen chucker.
there you go. But yeah, I'm starting a bit this year. That's going to be my next little with the soil grow. I want to start play breeding. I'm not going to try and claim to be breeding nothing, but that's
Yeah.
a little project this year I want to do, man.
I think
So,
it's a natural progression too, man. Honestly, I just think the more you grow and the more you learn about genetics and the different seeds you're popping and how they grow and you see the different, you know, structures and you kind of like I think you almost have to go through that to have a better understanding of how to breed anyway. You know what I mean? There's a certain amount of experience there of a grower, and then at that point you're kind of like, aha, I get it a little bit.
yeah, these are the little 1%, aren't they? These are the things that make your overall growing better when you learn all these things. Is that's the one problem that I had with cocoa. I got so narrow minded, like I said earlier, but I did one track minded. Like I probably wouldn't know how a plant's going to react to something in a different medium, or because I just got. But I think you have to keep broadening the horizon a little bit, and as you say, breathing and any other aspect of to do with these plants, you're going to learn something new. I can't wait to get stuck into that, man. And hopefully, yeah, adds another notch to what I do with my actual plant. So yeah, it's cool.
I'm
It's
thinking
cool.
about air layering just for the fuck of it. You know
is,
what
this,
you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
is air layering the root on the outside of the stem? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You wrap one of the stems and then
yeah, yeah. That
whatever.
looks mad, man. That looks mad.
Yeah, and
You
then you
could just
wait
do
for
that
it
for the fun
to
of it, couldn't you?
establish, and then you fucking once you get the roots off the stem there, you fucking cook the clone.
Yeah,
Honestly though, Keeno, for like people that are trying to save on numbers, right? Since you got
yeah,
a limit on numbers of 12, I mean, you could take your next cloning round and have it all on one plant, right? And
yeah, man.
once you get good at it, you'd have the timing down to being like, all right, I'm X 3 weeks out to harvest or whatever, you know, and then you could do it to where you'd stay within your numbers. You'd harvest and all your clones are already rooted. You know what I mean? It's like,
No, it's saying I think Spartan first introduced me to that the concept of it on one of our first podcasts, and I'd never heard of it to be honest. And I think it's a brilliant idea, man. I keep threatening to do it, but I mean, you could technically do it and then not use a clone, just top the roots off and end up with some mad like scar damage for nice pictures later on. But it is a brilliant idea. It really is. And the point is it with the success rate on them clones, it's going to be so much higher. It's going to be 100% pretty much if they do root. You're not going to kill them, are you? They're on the plant. So I think it's an amazing technique, man.
yeah,
But
you're never gonna harm it. And once
no,
I see,
exactly.
yeah, you're just cutting a healthy branch off. It's like, boom.
You see, I mean, you could do, if you imagine now the Instagram pictures, you can get like a lion's mane around a couple of the upper branches or something, and just leave them there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for
Well, I
pictures.
would
But
imagine too, Keno, you could, that being said, as long as where those roots were forming on the stem, as long as you kept that kind of somewhat moist so those roots stayed alive, I mean, you could almost leave it on there because it's still connected to the main branch, so.
see, it opens up other ideas. I mean, you'd be then given a super highway of nutrients if you could somehow feed them right underneath your buds. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a million little. Someone has to play. One day, someone done something, and obviously, one person probably never claimed to create air layering or any other technique. There's always be
I
someone
get
that's
what
would have
you're
done it.
saying, So you're talking doing it for the idea of nutrient uptake.
Well, this is it. You think when we do low stress or we pinch plants to create knots, we're trying to create in brackets super highways for nutrients to flow
Yeah.
up the stem. But I mean, if you could somehow, I'm just thinking now, like someone like Hydro on the forum would, if he's in water, have some, I don't know, as a mad experiment. I mean, you could effectively have like an enclosed pot around a stem feeding that part of the stem nutrient. I mean, it's a wacky idea. It probably would never work. But that's the point, though. That's the stoner ingenuity. That's the shit that stoners would come up with. Someone had to one day cut a plant, put some a bit of wet material around it to create air layering. That's what I'm getting at.
No,
Is
no,
it's
this was
mad shit.
that's a agricultural thing. I believe they do it with trees
Yeah, yeah,
and shit like that. But no, the whole idea what you were talking about there with feeding it, I'm just picturing somebody scrogging out like a big ass plant under one. You know what I mean? And then
yeah,
you're
yeah.
throw the roots up. Like if you picture them when you manifold them or whatever, you got roots coming off from each one of those arms too, going
Yeah.
down and shit.
I
Like
mean,
fucking Frankenstein looking son bitch.
there's another thing you could do if you keep them moist, like you said. You see these bonsai plants like, on the top of rock. Now you get like a small pot with a rock. I've only seen one picture, I think, but the roots are the plants on top of this rock, and then the roots go down the rock, sort of thing. Like there's like 2 foot of. You could sort of do that, and then cut away the main stem after you trained your roots and stuff for like a picturesque plant. Man, there might be something in that to have a play just for some pictures. Might have
Yeah.
to have a play with that now. But yeah,
I like the idea though of being able to kind of feed it that way because like if thinking in line of like the giant pumpkin growers, like a lot of times what they're doing is they're taking some of those extra where the extra pumpkins would grow on that vine, and I think they pull the flowering part off and they bury the shoot, and it makes it like another root that's like pumping
yeah.
into the big pumpkin. So it's like,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, the more roots you're kind of, I would imagine it would probably be something that's doable, actually. I don't know.
The closer it is to the bud as well, you can get certain nutrients into them faster if needed.
Yeah,
Like a real.
I wasn't picturing it like almost like an IV system for it, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Like you
But
could
I'm
almost
saying it would
treat,
work.
you
Just
could treat separate branches of separate parts of the plant differently too. So even if you were doing some say like you were talking earlier, experiment, you could almost treat this branch with that experiment and that branch without it or whatever.
that's mad, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, even down to just the idea of feeding certain additives or boosts. I mean, you could literally use it on one bud.
Yep.
Could might be onto something here. Better pattern
Fuck
that.
yeah, man. That's good shit. I dig it. Somebody will do it, man. I hope. Or patent it. I don't care. Like whatever. It's
No,
your idea.
I'm not patenting it. But I mean, no, this is it. I mean, someone needs to try that because do you think? I mean, if you are feeding, want to try a new nutrient, and you've got a plant, you could have a test plant where you could effectively a new boost or something. I'm thinking hydroponics. That's what I grow in, but all these different boosts out there, you could effectively be given each separate cola a different like terpinator and a rocks resonator and a, what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, it's quite mad.
Then you could compare them at the end somehow.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know. I do know nutrients travel up and down the stem,
yeah,
so
yeah,
so I do know that'll somewhat make its way around.
yeah.
But interesting thought though. Either way, feeding them off from a bunch of different roots. Start
Oh,
adding pots for each branch.
I'm more interested now though in doing something pretty with the roots. You can almost braid the roots down. Could have like braids hanging off like underneath a bud. Like you imagine having a bud just before trim with like a few braided roots that you've sort of kept moist and braided as they grow, hanging off of it. You could just make some mad pictures with that shit. That would be cool.
Really cool as fuck.
Mm.
I dig that shit.
Yeah.
Did you do any outdoor stuff or?
I've done it 1 year, mate. Over here, I'd done a sweet dark devil auto because it was purple, and I thought I'd grow it next to the lavender plants in amongst the tomatoes to hide it, and it ended up with bud that looked like lavender. It was just shit, basically. It was over here. We either have really good summers or really bad summers, but even the really good summers, we end up with stupidly high humidity. It's not impossible to grow it here, but I mean, it's not worth it for me. I've done it that. I mean, the auto had decent sunlight, but it just wasn't enough, and then it had humidity. But the buds literally grew like it literally looked like a stalk of lavender. That was the plant, you know. And there was nothing wrong with the actual feed or anything, or where it was. It was just outdoor don't work for me, man. I know people are masters at it over here, but I'm not going to waste time on it. And the smell as well. The thing with the UK is, unless you're in the country, there's always someone within 20 meters, or there will be someone within 20 meters, you know. And I don't want to I think someone said it on the Friday night one, that I don't want to get nicked for an outdoor plant. I don't want to get my indoor plants taken for my one outdoor plant,
Yep.
you know.
No doubt.
So,
yeah. I understand that. It's true. I was thinking a little different, I guess. But,
no, go on.
no, like
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's a lot different growing outdoor when it's illegal and guerrilla grow style.
I mean, if it's legal, man. I mean, I see what some of you lads get up to over there. I mean, they are trees. There's no other word for it out there, outdoor out over there. But obviously, we couldn't do that here. I mean, unless you owned a farm, and you know, even then, you're going to be very lucky not to have a helicopter fly over at some point. Not looking for plants, just flying over it at some point. It's a very small country, you know. There's always a dog walker or something. But no, mate. I mean, if we could do it legally, then it might be different for me. Because I've seen what the American growers do outdoor, and I mean, obviously it's different climate, but in some parts of the US, but they are literally trees. I see them ones on Instagram where they're climbing up inside the plant, like, and then they're putting their arms out the trellises on the side, and it's like that's a plant. That's the same thing as I've got in that little tent out there, with just a bit more, you know, sunlight and time. But
What's the
yeah,
biggest
man.
plant you've ever done then?
Biggest plant I've ever done. I tend to stick like this to this shape. The person that taught me to grow in cocoa was, sorry, I've basically stuck to that. So in that picture that I just showed, if I can get one up, so I'm trying to clear my throat. I've got one here of 8 plants. Sorry. So these are about the biggest that I get them. But these are 8 plants in this picture. So there's 4 on each side.
Okay.
So I stick to the rule of 2 by 2 foot. I think it is over there, or 60 by 60 centimeter. So around 7 to 9 ounces a plant is my biggest attempt. I think I've just hit just under 9 ounces on one strain, but there'll be 4 of them to a 4 by 4 area. So
good, man.
it's not the numbers that I know you can hit in water, or I know that some guys are hitting in soil, but I've just stuck to that's what I'm saying. For my entire cocoa, which has been my biggest plants by far, I've stuck to a sort of a set floor plan in what I do.
That's over 2 pounds. Fucking.
It does. It does. I get enough out of it, but it's so you can see that's so you could. This is my lazy scrog method. See, so that shows you how many plants are on each side. There's 15, 16 litre pots, about 4 gallon, I think, and then I do this. So
Hell yeah! Shout out, do that, dude.
the
I do
lazy
the
scrog
same
method.
damn thing. That's exactly how I do it. Hell
So that means I haven't got to be in there tucking and tucking and tucking. I just let them get 5 foot tall and then bang, beat them down underneath the net.
Do you lean the stems over then, like when you're trying to
put them in there. Some of them I'll take the stem and I'll lean the whole branch, and then I'll
Yeah,
lean
yeah.
one this way, and then the next one to kind of get it if they're real tall. You know what I mean?
That's it. So these will be topped down the bottom. So there's like 4 main stems coming up on them. This is more through laziness than anything else. But as you know, if you're bending them down, if you just give them a few backwards and forwards, you can bend them into any shape you want to.
Yep.
And then I'll get them all sort of flat first, not flat but like bendy, and then I'll just put the net in and really go to work. But you can see I went a bit far. That back right corner, there's one that snapped off, so I had to leave it up to heal because it completely snapped. It took about a week to heal up over the back, but that's the lazy shrug method, man. But that's what I'm saying is that's so.
Damn, you bring them
Two,
down tight too.
yeah,
Wow.
it's 2 foot by 2 foot area. So I've always wanted to do like one plant 1.2, or 4 by 4, like one plant on one side of that. But I just stuck again in this same thing that I've been, just the same pattern of growing, which is why I need to change, have a go at living soil. So
I don't know, man. It looks like you're cranking it out, dude. That's pretty badass. I like it.
I do love it, man. It's just, I don't know. I'm not growing at the moment because we're moving home, or about to move. Supposed to have moved home about 4 weeks ago, but it's COVID stuff. But it's, yeah, I need that hour a day out there, man. Or my head starts to wander. You know what I mean? I start thinking about things that maybe I shouldn't be thinking about doing, and I need that. It grounds me, man.
I bet you're missing it, dude. I'd miss it real bad too.
Yeah, I got
There's
my little seedlings and that, but not. I want to be growing. So
you doing all right over there? You got on time and all that. I don't know if you said kids were
yeah,
getting.
I'm cool, mate. That's a couple of hours in. I don't know how long all my runs for, man.
We just run, man. We're talking. Just fucking bullshit.
Cool. I could do another half hour, man.
Yeah.
Because then the alarm's going to start going off, and you start hearing they're screaming upstairs as the missus tries to get the kids out of bed. Death battles, the fight
Yeah.
over the toilet. Yeah.
How
So
many tents? You said you had 3 tents now, so you have 2 of them in flower. Is that
I have 2 tents that size, and then one smaller tent which is just under 4 by 4. That's like my veg and mum area. So
okay?
I'll get plants to not too far off the size in that picture, how tall they were there. I'll top them and I'll train them a bit, and then I'll move them over, and yeah, and then I flatten them out and let them go. So, but
Are you running mostly clone, or do you run a lot of seed? Because I know
uh,
you guys get a shit ton of seed. So
yeah, I run clone for I run. I know that the TJ obviously with Eagle does the Agent Orange. I run for a good few grows, 4 to 5 grows back to back in the UK cheese. But then I got not bored, but same thing. I got tunnel vision again on the strains. So then I started growing seed. I grew a few new ones. I've done a multi-strain one on Dutch Passion one that was a multi-strain, which I liked. But again, in cocoa, multi-strain, different feeds. It was a nightmare. Then I started
because
doing old school, man.
you're turning it all to RSO, so it really don't matter, right? I mean, you could seed
Yeah,
meal.
I know. This is gonna. I'd rather grow than have anything. Like I don't really need the RSO now. I've got a lot of RSO backed up. I like growing. If someone said to me, you have to pick between like using bud or growing it, I would grow. I know it sounds crazy to some people, but I like just growing different strains. I've recently done White Widow and Northern Lights and Critical, old schools, like them, and
Yeah.
I was so excited about them. Even though I'm not going to taste them, it's going to be almost exactly the same feeling out of it. But so I could just find a strain that produced more RSO than any other, but there's no fun in that. I like growing the strain, which is why the Agent Orange was like that. That was that one earlier, the big colas. I I love growing. I sort of strain hunting, but not strain hunting because I'm not even smoking it anymore. I'm just turning it into RSO. But I love it, man. I
That one
love.
was just fun for you to grow. Then that's why you kind of kept it around.
That's
I
it.
understand all that, man. Like I agree with you. I think honestly, that would be a tough choice. If you could,
Mm.
if you were given that choice, I might say the same thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just the passion that's in it. It's more than a hobby. I mean, so Kevin and Eagle was saying it is like a lifestyle, but for me, it's never been the stoner lifestyle. It's been the growing lifestyle. It's just been, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I couldn't be without growing now. I couldn't. If I couldn't give it up. Like if I over here, if you get arrested, you have to stop. Second time, you're in a bit of trouble. I don't think I could. And that sounds silly, but I honestly don't think I could.
Oh man, there's plenty of guys over here that same boat, man. And,
Yeah.
So well, shout out Subcool. He's arrested
Yeah.
and right back to it.
Yeah, man.
So,
That's it. So I didn't know that Eagle was doing that because that was that strain I had earlier. I've Agent Orange. I've grown so many times now.
that's cool.
Such a beautiful strain, man. Honestly, I've never known a strain like it. In fact, all them pictures that you just looked at are Agent Orange. I'm looking through the pictures now.
That's your trophy one.
Yeah, this is all Agent Orange, man.
But look at the stacks on that. I can't blame you, man.
But this Agent Orange is one that it will grow like Have I got anything with it? It's so yeah, it's a different phenotypes in it, but they're airy. So it looks really impressive. But that one there would have been about 40 ounces for both sides. It sounds a lot, but looking at that should be more. Do you know what I mean? As in, if that was like a critical or a tighter bud, that would be like 60 ounces. But again, I'm not growing for weight. I'm not growing for. I like growing these different strains for that reason.
Right.
But the Agent Orange by TGA, man, just that's in my top 2 strains to ever grow.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. That stack right out is gorgeous.
They're beautiful, man. So I'd like to try and do something with it. Like maybe throw some pollen at it at some point or do something. I don't know, but yeah, try and do some sort of homage to it because we've just got the clone. There's a few of us just have the clone sat there. So, but it's a beautiful strain, and all of his strains were, man. One that I never done that I wanted to do. I think it was the Grenoble. Was it?
Oh,
is it TGA Grenoble? Yeah. That was the one that I wanted to do, but I never done. I need to try and get that actually.
You know what, Keeno? My brother actually, through another chain, has gotten his hands on a few of the Chernobyl. So it's his brother-in-law that had them, and he grew it out, and he had 3-4 seeds left over or whatever. So they're popping those right now.
Fair play, man. Again, if you see pictures, you have to chuck me a picture over that because it's a stunning strain, man.
Yeah, I'll try to have snag some. It'll be in his garden, but he's hoping even to find a male too. So they've been doing some breeding, and so yeah, my brother's brother-in-law. I don't know. He's my brother, man. I've known him for years too, but he's doing some breeding now and picking out some real fire stuff. So
cool, man.
So how hard is it for you guys to get equipment over there? Then,
very easy. You can buy equipment as easy as you can buy shampoo online. I mean, obviously, but there's hydro shops here. We can go into hydro shops, but I don't know, man. Hydro shops are funny over here. You go to a hydro shop, it's like everyone walking in there is paranoid. So, but it just looks like a dodgy setup. It's like I'll sit in there, I'll take a sandwich down before I go because if you're going down there and you're going to walk into somewhere looking like you've just robbed a bank and you're going to walk out with a massive black bag on your shoulder full of whatever, like huddle over to your car all paranoid. You're looking 10 times worse. I'll take a sandwich down. I'll have a half hour of fun watching the idiots going there now. But you can get it online now, like eBay and hydro shops online. You can get it easy. I mean, anything. And seeds the same. That's the crazy thing about it is you can literally get seeds for very cheap money now and kit for very cheap money. And you go on eBay and you can see the amounts that were sold. Unlike the Lumi Black kits and the cheap HPS kits, they're selling hundreds a month. So it's obvious that everyone's at it.
Yeah,
it's craziness. The fact is it's so readily available that it's unreal. It's unreal. Even like the pound shop, which is like, I don't know if you got over there. It's like the big, large, cheap value store. Like, even I know they're not selling it for cannabis, but they were selling cocoa nutrients and shit, man. You know what I mean? There was stuff in there people were buying and using it on their cannabis plants. And I'm sure the owners of the pound shop knew that they weren't using it to grow tomatoes in cocoa. You know what I mean?
That's what I was gonna say about the hydro stores being paranoid. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, like you had tomatoes, terms of tomatoes.
No, honestly, you go in there, you see them walk out like their hood up in the middle of like like a sunny day. They run up to their car, they throw their stuff, and you see them looking at all the cars in the car park. You're thinking, if I was old Bill, I would be raiding you tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Because you must be doing 150 million plants to be that paranoid.
Right.
But I used to take a sandwich down there and watch them all fraggle out for like an hour just before I go in and get my gear. But I don't use, I got no problem using a hydro shot. Like I say, over here, they cannot afford to police it anymore. So unless you are being an idiot, you know, and hanging out your window screaming, I'm growing, or you're not using filters, or you're just being stupid, you're not going to get done. You're not going to get done if you're careful. And again, it's my opinion, and I must say that because obviously we're talking on a YouTube channel. It's just my opinion. But in my opinion, man, your hydro shops, you don't need to be paranoid about nothing. Just be smart. Don't be stupid with it, man.
So where do you dry then, or do you dry, or do you go right into alcohol?
I dry. That's the thing is, I still dry and cure like I would when I grow. So I know it's. I dry. I net. I know people don't. I dry on nets, but it's just always the way I've done it. So I use a bowl trimmer, and I know people don't like that. But again, that's because it doesn't really matter if it's a bit battered. But I dry on nets in these tents. So when these come down, I'll take one of them shades down in that picture and hang up a not 60 by 60 or 90 by 90 tent, and a net, and you let them dry, man. And then if I need to add dehumidifiers or air conditioners for the right environment towards after a few days, obviously the first few days don't really matter, but then I'll do that. But in them tents, I'll do it, man. So in the tents, they are grown in, they get dried in there.
So do you try to hit a specific temp and humidity for drying?
I've done the 60-60 thing for a long time, but I'm really starting to try and dry and cure a lot colder now. Sorry, clear my throat 1 second. So my throat's all funny. I'm even now. I was saying that Pete said on Operation Grow. He said if you can open your tent and you can smell your plants, it's your terpenes burning off. Now that's such a simple thing. We all know that, but to hear someone say that to you, it was like, wow, man. So I've started dropping temperatures down in my last 2 weeks of the grow to like 12, 14 Celsius. Now I know that sounds crazy, but to me, the buds are not growing after. If you've got a 10-week strain, they're not growing after week 8. These strains, so the surface area is, you know, that's it. The size of the bud there is there. You know, it's still going to be producing some bits and bobs, but I try and limit the amount of volatile terpenes burning off by getting it right down to like say 12, 14 degrees for that, especially that last week of flower, and then the same into like I'm trying to dry at like 14C, and I'm going to try and dry at 12C. As long as humidity is spot on, then the temperature just shouldn't be that big a problem with drying. Obviously, if it's 80% humidity, then the buds are going to struggle to get below 80%. If it's 60%, they're going to be around 60%. So I'm going to try and control the dry with the humidity, but keep the temperatures lower to try and contain or preserve more of the terpenes, even though I'm not going to be smoking it. I like playing.
That's what I was going to discuss, actually, Keeno. I mean, I'm just being curious, honestly, but
yeah.
Does that translate into the RSO then? Like the extra, are you noticing a difference in the end product? How you?
To be honest, no. No, I mean, it's obviously a different effects of some different strains, but it's just the taste is the taste on RSO, man. It's pretty nasty. No, it doesn't. It's just me playing. That's what I was saying to you. I like the growing side of it more than anything else.
Through smelling it and all that, right?
Yeah, just through smelling it. I've got like and family members that will try it and that. I mean, I will smoke it. I want to get a vape. I'm not going to ever smoke again. Like, which kills me because I love my joints, man. But yeah, it's just playing, basically playing. And
it probably gives a lot more color to it too, you know. So
it does. It does bring colors out on a lot of strains. So I know it's probably not the best thing to be doing, but it's just I'm really trying to. On last winter, I had a grow, and I've grown a strain that I've grown many times, but the temperature, the heater, the thermostat broke. I didn't know it had, and it was probably sat around 14, 16 degrees Celsius for the last 2 weeks, and I noticed the smell on that plant was completely different. A lot more delicate undertones to that plant. The fact it had been sat in that cold and it had dried in that cold. it was a completely different animal. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with it. Is I'm really into this dry cold cure, and even cold end of grow. But the 60% is still the magic number for me curing. You want to be no higher than 60, or 55 to 65% when you go into the jars, but preferably 56 to 60%. I cure at, man.
And it's totally interesting to me too that you actually go through the dry and the cure and the jar,
Yeah.
because honestly, I mean, just speaking out my mind here out loud or whatever, you know, like if you're just going to RSO, why would you just dry it as fast as possible, right? Like
I mean, it's just I like the plain side. Honestly, I have like certain family members that obviously will have some, and I like being proud of what I have. I can't tell them that it's me that grows it, but yeah, I'm still sort of, I don't know. I think I'm still testing. Really, I'm still
no, I
testing,
dig that because I get what
trying to
you're saying.
improve,
You
man.
like the show off part of it still, like, you know.
Sort of, it's like you over here you can't tell anyone. So like it's like, oh, my mate gave me this the other day, and they're like, oh, this is banging. They look with a smile on your face because you grew it.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I missed out earlier. When I started growing, we used to go fishing all the time, and I started doing it for sleep. But that's where that started. Now we used to go fishing, and we used to like just get stoned for 5 days at a lake, and go through like an ounce each. That's like 200-300 pounds at the time. So I started growing. I just started just taking weed and throwing bags of weed at people and then my friends. But that's where that started with me, I think, was the appreciation that I got from seeing them enjoy it. You know what I mean? So it is that sort of continued from there. But I think I'm still trying to tweak my game, even though I'm just making RSO. So I will smoke again. I want to get a decent vape, and I will. But I think I'm still trying to tweak my game, because if I dried it super fast, or if I cured it, it's still going to make the RSO. But I'm not going to learn anything by drying it super fast. But if I continue to try and tweak what I'm doing, then I'm still going to learn. And if I do choose to smoke it again, or if I continue to make RSO, or I want to get into other stuff as well, like edibles and things. I've never done that either. So yeah, man.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I was honestly. I think it's admirable and awesome. I honestly, I was just surprised because when you said it was all RSO, I just
Yeah.
assumed, I just kind of assumed that you would just, what I mean. So
Yeah,
that's
no, I know it is mad. It is mad. I've
it's
got jars
not.
upstairs of every strain, a little bit of every strain that I've grown, still curing.
Yeah,
Like
that's even
just
cooler.
what I'm saying. But I may not ever smoke that again, and it's never gonna. I've got enough RSO. It's like the hash. I made hash a little while ago. Like I said, I'm not going to smoke hash. I'm just using RSO, but I'm going to do another big hash run soon. Don't want to do videos for YouTube and try and, not teach is the wrong word. Share how I do it for other people. Someone might like what I do or whatever. But yeah, that's what I like. That's what I'm saying. It's more about the playing, man. Like, I'm going to keep making hash, and I'm going to keep
So are
trying
you
different ways to
making
try.
what kind of hash are you making then?
Just bubble at the moment.
Oh,
Yeah, again, not smoking it, but bubble seems to carry the terpenes, or at least some essence of the plant through better than a dry sift or other methods, I think. I know that's when I used to make the hash and smoke it. So I want to really play with that. I want to really play with making hash again. So
now do you press it like a rosin, like to after you make the bubble? Do you press it then, or you just keep it as the bubble? And
no, I just sort of keep it as a bubble. I do. I roll it out, roll it heavily. I want to get a vice. I said to GMO about it. I want to get. I want to do like, so I don't know, like 500-gram runs. So I end up with, I don't know, like 30 grams maybe of decent bubble hash. But I want to get one of them rosin presses, like the little metal plates.
yep.
I want to get them, and I want to like squash the 30 grams down into each layer. So you end up with like layers of different strains in like a block of hash.
All
Does that
right.
make sense? In a
Yeah.
vice. So you use the mold, the rosin type mold thing, the plates, and then sort of do like 130-gram layer of like a critical 130-gram layer of thing. But as you're compressing it down, it's going to end up like a block of slate. So that's what I'm saying, though. But I'm not going to smoke it. But I want to play.
It's cool though, man. Now, have you done dry sift too? Is that something?
I've mucked around with it. I can't sit and say that I've ever done a real problem. I mean, again, I like my hash, and I had friends that made a lot of hash. It was always a bubble that I preferred, but I've never really played with that. I've turned a bubble bag inside out and sort of rubbed it over the micron mesh and things like that, but not like no. But
You
yeah,
ever do it with the sealed like dry ice where you like shake?
I've seen that. Yeah, I know. I haven't done that either. No. So that's another. I mean, one of the boys in the forum reckons you get a lot more back off of it, but then someone was saying on the podcast the other night it's a lot more harsh, I think. So I don't know. But again, yeah, it's just
Neat styles, yeah.
yeah. This is it. I want to play with all of it. I want to learn all these different things. I want to learn how to make everything, even like shatter and that eventually, and buy the kits and the rose impresses. I want to do all of that, but yeah,
So what are you gonna have aquaponics here in a couple years?
aquaponics.
And...
Don't, if I could do that, have a lake like a fishing, use the
Am
fish
I
shit
planting a
to grow the
seed, Talkin?
plants.
It's like, damn it, now I got
Yeah.
another thing.
I've been looking at aquaponics, but yeah, it's not for me. I want to do RDWC properly.
Yeah.
That's my end game. That to me is for big plants and fast growth. I don't think you can beat that side of it. Doesn't mean it's going to be anywhere near as nice as organic, but again, if I am just going RSO, then if I continue on that path, then I just want to go big girls and fast. So
Those recirculating systems are fucking amazing. They get the chillers on there, and it's cool. I think that's cool as fuck when you see them pull the thing out, and the root ball's the same shape
as the tub. You get like the big
the bucket all the way
120 liter
down.
tubs, man.
Yeah, dude,
The thing is, you said there, it's the chillers, the pumps. You need a lot, and you need spares. There's no point in getting into like a massive RWC and not having a spare chiller. But a chiller on its own is 350 quid. So I need a spare 350 pound chiller set there. That's why I haven't done it. But I'm gonna play with soil, and so I might really enjoy the soil, this living soil. So we'll see, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And that's to say too, like there's so many different ways to do it. Like the discussions on like, vapor pressure and all that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's expensive to fucking set up all these controllers to try to push that, it's expensive to put up all these pumps and try to run without any medium, It's kind of the nature of it. But I do know people that have done it where they're switching buckets out, and just having individual buckets or whatever.
Yeah, you can do. I mean, I've seen people hit stupid numbers on plants in that. Obviously, from outside looking at pictures, all we've got, because you say, I'm never going to taste your bud, I'm never going to taste eagles. We have to look at pictures. I've seen some monster buds grown in them, monster plants grown in them 20 litre or 10 litre tubs.
Yeah.
Which is that RDWC is, I don't know. But the old school growers in the UK, I think, all of the big boys that were doing like, the plants that used to mesmerize you were all RDWC. So that's probably why it stuck with me and why I want to do it.
I've even, Keeno, there's a video, gosh, I want to say it was 5 pounds in 80 days or something like that.
Wow, man.
But this guy it's a 6x9 room. He has 3 of them that he sets up, and it's just kind of like a short video on all 3 of them. And he's advertising, it's an aeroponic system that he's advertising. It's similar to like deep water, I guess, but he was stacked like 100 clones in the one 6x9, 200 in the other, and 300 in the third one, and then just fucking flowered them out right there or whatever. But it's a pretty badass little video on it, but it'll open your eyes to what.
I'm gonna have a look for that. Yeah.
Some of the systems where they just stack in clones, they're just rooted and they run them, And it's fucking, and there's 100 of them, They're just right on top of each other.
Yeah.
And it's fucking cola. It's unreal.
They grow like cress or something. Like, you have cress over there? The little like herb thing they eat. Like that, man. Yeah. I've looked for that video. Right. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to look at the time soon because they're going to be alarms are going off in 9 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I'll let you do some shout outs or whatever, and then I guess I'm gonna have to record your fucking. I gotta do the eagle rundowns. I got duties. This isn't like the takeover. I gotta get the radio bit or whatever, right? Like, fucking talking shit with Smiley. I don't even know.
No, I've really enjoyed it tonight, mate. It's been nice. It's been really, when you said that he was about, you said you. I said, no, all good, man. I'll sit with Smiley all day long, man.
Oh yeah,
So,
dude.
it's been
No,
cool.
I
It's been
honestly
cool.
I was excited about it, Keeno. I mean, I got a lot of respect for you and GMO, and I love hanging out on Fridays with everybody too. You guys got a cast of characters over there. It's fucking great.
Depends who's on, doesn't
Right.
it?
And it was Friday night for everybody too. Like that's the other thing. Like I'm listening and it's like dinner time for me, you know, and you guys, it's like, yeah, you're like 11, 12 o'clock at night and everybody's feeling pretty good because it's freaking Friday night.
Everyone's battered up, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, no. As far as shout outs, mate, it's just I'm just on the forum and obviously with the social media, man. But I'm not here for that. I'm here for the chat and it's been nice. It's been cool. It really has. So,
Yeah. Cool,
yeah,
man.
man.
I'm gonna hit record here, yeah, if you want to do that little radio soundbite for it.
What's the radio soundbite, mate?
The like, hey, I'm Keeno here, fucking talking shit with Smiley's Garden. It's kind of the
Yeah,
ad
yeah.
Eagle puts in.
Yeah. All right, Keeno here, fucking talking shit with Eagle's Garden, aka Smiley's Garden tonight. Massive thanks to everybody, and yeah, been a great night, man.
Oh yeah, definitely appreciate you, Keeno, and all the stuff you guys are doing, man. And I hope you have a great morning. And
Yeah, you have a good night, man, and yeah,
well, I'll let you
definitely
hop
speak
out,
soon.
and I'll kind of close it out then and go from there.
Cool, man.
All right. Awesome, guys. Yeah, fucking. If you guys haven't checked them out, the 420 Growers Forum, Keeno and GMO, both of them are great guys, great people over there hanging out all the time. And yeah, I'm gonna probably go take a leak and see about firing up the next rabbit hole or the wormhole. So hope
Take
everybody
care,
has a
man.
great one and do something nice.